Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Thanks for joining our webinar today. While we give everyone a moment to join, we'll wait a minute or two. We have another poll for you, one of our fun polls. If you could add any sport to the Olympics, what would it be? No, I'm excited about some of the new sports added this year, breakdancing being one of them. I think it starts to air Friday. But that one really shocked me. From this, I'd probably pick football, American football. What about you, Courtney?
I would have to go with other. I'd like to see tag. I've seen some of the shows, competitions of tag, and it is very interesting. And it mixes parkour with obstacle courses and things like that. It's a really fun sport to watch. Not that I could do anything. I tripped down the stairs, but it's fun to watch from the outside. I'd never be able to do it myself, though.
Yeah, if you have another, let us know in the comments.
Any other cool sports?
Parkour.
Parkour. They have to say parkour as they're doing the sport, though. It's the only way to do it.
Okay, we're gonna keep going. Let's see where everyone voted. Parkour won. Why am I not surprised from this group? Oh, dodgeball. Dodgeball tied as well. Well, I do want to address my internet is not great today. So if I'm a little glitchy, I apologize. Please let us know in the chat. And I'm just going to go off video and skim through mine super quick to get to the demo today. A little bit of housekeeping. We have downloadable content in the On24 window. There's also a 3-minute IT health assessment that we've created to kind of help you identify areas of opportunity and vulnerability in your environment. So that should be linked over in the platform as well. Some of you have already taken it. Many of you haven't, but that's something where you can just kind of have a deeper look into areas of opportunity, and some of those we'll be covering today in the webinar. Interact with us. We'll have polls and chat throughout. If you have questions, go ahead and submit those throughout the webinar. We'll try to address those at the end. And then coffee is on us. Everyone here is getting a $10 digital gift card for coffee, which you'll receive after the webinar. So for our agenda, this is a 3-part series. We've been running with these coffee breaks a lot lately, which you all seem to like. This one is all about, going for gold within your IT health and performance. And for today's session, we're doing keeping devices secure and up to date. So we'll cover things like lapse, Docker key retrieval, the software updates dashboard, device updates, and remote software center, AD cleanup, and then we'll do a brief intro into the trends dashboard. So a little bit, about, what we try to solve. There's a lot of different products here within our suite at Recast, from third-party patching to systems and device management to solving for zero trust and privilege manager. Really, the biggest thing is just, making your job easier. And a lot of the feedback we hear is it just works. And it's hard to think about my job or managing SCCM without it because it makes it simpler. So the focus for today will be around, right-click tools and enhancing your IT health at scale. So some of the challenges would be, you're asked to do more with less resources, or, distributed workforces limit your device management window and capability. And there's limited actions within SCCM. And, security teams and requests that you get from security, they may lack the tools or, expertise, resources to do it for themselves. And so a lot of that may get passed to the IT team. So really focusing on the comment on the right here is, one person in 1 hour can now manage the same number of systems at the same time frame as what it used to take 3 to 4 people. So really, we're just making that simpler for you through automation and access to tools that you wouldn't have previously. So for today's speaker, you've probably seen her here before, Courtney, our solutions engineer and team lead at Recast. I'll hand it over to you, Courtney, and you can hop into the demo if you want to give the intro.
Thanks, Haley. Hi, everyone. I am Courtney. I am solutions engineer. I am the team lead for our group here, and I've been a sysadmin for a number of years. Used the right-click tools even before I started working here. So I have used it out in the real world, I guess you could say. So I will be doing the demo today and answering any questions if we have time as well. I will get my screen shared here. And today we will start off with talking about our Labs dashboard. So to help kind of secure your devices, we have a lot of people use Labs local admin password solution. And we have a dashboard that kind of helps surface that information and then allows you to also take action if needed. So here's the dashboard. You can see if you have the legacy version of Labs. So if you have that actual client installed, you can see if the client is installed on your devices. If you're using the new like Windows integrated Labs, you can also grab the passwords and things for that. So they will show up with computers with the password, which you can select and get a list, make sure all your devices have Labs passwords, and get that remediated if they do not. So you can actually go ahead and also right click on them. So if you need that password, you can actually go to security tools, and we have that 80 Labs password. So if you're using the new like Windows integrated Labs, we can have that username for you. So if you use something other than just the default administrator, you can see what that username is. You can grab that password, and then if you're handing that off to help desk or giving that to someone else, you can also expire it so that it's only good for the few hours that they need it, and it can grab that new password to make sure that it's not just floating around until a couple days later when it will expire just on its own cadence. So you have this window here, and just set that expiration if you needed. We also have the ability to just be able to give someone access to the password expiration. So if you don't want to give someone the ability, or maybe help desk the ability to actually grab that password, but you still want them to be able to expire it, we have it as a separate action so that you can just give them access to expire it. You can set it to expire now. You can also have it a group policy update at the same time and pick a date and time for it to expire if you want to change that around. You can do that here without actually having to give them access to that password. You can also get these two tools in like devices. So if you're like searching for a specific device and just need to grab the password and you're searching in devices, you can still right click, or if you're in a collection, wherever that device is, you can just click on it. You don't have to necessarily use it through the dashboard. Our next dashboard we have is our BitLocker compliance, and this shows your compliance based on policies. So if you're using MBAM or Config Manager to have your BitLocker policies, you can see if they're compliant. You can see which devices are non-compliant, maybe they're not encrypted, maybe they're using a different encryption method than they're supposed to, things like that. As well as you can see where your keys are stored. So especially if you have them in multiple systems, or if you're transitioning, if you're moving away from like MBAM, it's a big one because it will be end of life here relatively soon. You can see where your keys are stored, make sure you're not missing any keys. If you find some devices that are maybe not encrypted, you can select all of them and take action on those. So we can go into here and retrieve the BitLocker key if we need to from AD, Config Manager, and MBAM. We can also use remote Windows security to take action on those devices. So I have a few devices here that are currently not encrypted. And so I actually really need to get them encrypted, get them secured. Policies, if you have Sometimes cyber insurance requires them to be encrypted, things like that. You can go ahead and hit the encrypt button and get those devices encrypted a lot faster in mass on a bunch of devices. So I can do 3 at one time if I need to. I can add a PIN, startup key, recovery password. I can change the encryption method as well, and then go ahead and encrypt that when I'm done. You can also take other actions. So if you need to decrypt the device or just suspend it and then resume it when you're done, you can take action from there, as well as back up that password to AD, force a recovery on next restart, or regenerate that recovery password. So you can do that from here on a bunch of devices to get those devices secured. Our next dashboard we have is our software update deployment status. And what our SUDS dashboard does is it shows what software updates are missing from your devices. You can limit it to a specific software update group if needed. So if you want to make sure we have ours done by month, so if I want to make sure a specific month is up to date, I can select those. I can also select limit to deployed updates. So all of the updates that are actually being currently deployed is the only ones I personally care about today. So I can see which devices are missing those. I can look by specific category if I need to. So if there is a specific security update that you might be missing, maybe it's really important, things like that. So like I have one from last month and one device it looks like that is missing from last month. So I could go ahead and right click and take action on it from here, make sure I get that specific device updated, and maybe just wait around for the others. Or I can look at all the devices that are non-compliant, see what updates are missing from it, if it's actually being deployed or not. So some of these might say it's not actually deployed, but it thinks it needs to be installed on that device. So you can also use that kind of as a double check to make sure you're not missing any software updates that are supposed to, similar to like this one where it says false. And then with all these non-compliant devices, I don't want to have to go through them individually, so I'm just going to select them all. And we can actually go to our client tools and open Remote Software Center. So what Remote Software Center is it really is just mirrors what Software Center has, and we're asking that device what is the status. So we have our applications here. But for today, I am most interested in software updates. So I can see what software updates are missing. I can see if there's any error codes. So maybe the update couldn't install for one reason or another, and it actually threw an error. So I can quickly check which ones are erroring out. I can select all the updates or individually, and I can go ahead and install. So I can kick those software updates so I don't have to wait around for it to hopefully check in at some point or wait for policies, or maybe it's coming up to the deadlines and an update's being stubborn. Go ahead and force that to install. So then you can get, compliance, metrics, anything that revolves around software updates. And then also sometimes you can see evaluation state. So if it's tried to install or if it's in the process of doing something, things such as it's downloading, it is pending a soft reboot, waiting for a maintenance window, things like that will show up in this evaluation state. So the nice thing is if I had evaluation state where they're maybe just pending a reboot, I could actually go ahead and right click and use our console tools to either schedule a reboot, maybe for 2 a.m. in the middle of the night when hopefully no one's working, or I could restart it now and get those devices updated quicker, depending on what your policies are, things like that. You can get those updated based on that evaluation state. And you can use like the right click tools inside the right click tools, which is really handy when you're already in this window. So our next dashboard we have is our Active Directory Cleanup tool. And what the Active Directory Cleanup tool does is it compares an OU and your collections or multiple and tells you what's in one, the other, or in both. And this is great for making sure you've got your devices in the right locations, especially if you have like policies built on specific OUs or applications deployed to certain collections, things like that. You can compare with those, what are in each section, and see maybe there's some devices that are missing. So these two devices are only in Active Directory. And so I maybe need to get them into Config Manager, or maybe I just need to get them added to this collection. So I could use Client Tools and add the devices to the collection from here. Make sure they're getting the applications, software updates, things like that. Or maybe I've also noticed that these devices I don't need. Maybe they're old, retired, and I don't need them in my environment anymore, so I could delete them from Active Directory. Or if they're just in Config Manager, I could delete them from Config Manager as well. And then I can see some information about those devices. So we have OS. So as you're moving from like 10 to 11, you can make sure you're not missing any stragglers, things like that. If maybe you need to remediate them, maybe there's a device that hasn't been logged into in a while, so you can see the last logon timestamp over here on the side. So maybe if it's has been logged into, it's time to kind of maybe retire it, get rid of it, things like that, so that it's not just sitting around taking up space, potentially, leaving an opening in your environment for someone to use that device if they just found it, things like that. So you can see all that kind of information. And then these dashboards here, the nice thing about them is if you have the Recast management server, you can use this button up here that says create a snapshot. And this snapshot brings you into our our Recast management server with a web URL that you can actually give to other people. So if, say you don't trust your manager, or they want to see information, but you don't trust them in Configuration Manager, you could give them access to the web version of this dashboard so that you don't have to give them direct access into Config Manager. And then they can view things, but they can't actually take action on those. So you can get, if you've already kind of ran the dashboard, you can just create a snapshot, and it will take what it looks like at a specific date and time that you clicked on it. You can give this link to your manager, other people, and be like, hey, look, we're doing great. Or maybe we need to go, remediate these two Active Directory devices, go find them somewhere. You can export this information to CSV. So if you need to give it to another team, maybe, and be like, hey, why are these devices, they haven't been logged into in a long time? Can you, figure out where they are? If they're in the closet somewhere, get rid of them, retire them, disable them, things like that. And then you have the access over here as well. So you could give someone or manager access to just these dashboards here. And then they can actually do the running of the dashboard. So here they can actually just run it themselves if they want to kind of run maybe a lot of reports, or whenever they feel like it, versus having to ask you. They can do that here, select what OU and collection, save and run, and then they can actually run the dashboards themselves without having, not have the ability to actually take action. And all this you can secure with permissions. So we have permissions. So if there's at any point any right-click tool, or really any of our products that you don't want certain people to have access, you can actually modify the permissions in here and give them just access to what you want them to, and give them a specific role. So that way you can make sure they can't get themselves into too much trouble if you don't trust them completely. And then also from here, we can, once you build out this report, you can actually create what we call a trend. And the trends will take a snapshot over time and tell you how your compliance goes. So you can actually create a trend here, give it a specific day and time that you want, select your interval. Maybe you want to check once a month on your software updates, see how your updates are doing, maybe every day for software updates. You can create a trend and then see what it looks like compliance over time. So you can see the trends over here. And then you can click on any dots as well to get a snapshot. So it's pretty much just taking like a snapshot of what settings you have over a specific amount of time and making sure your compliance is going in the right direction. And then there is one other one that has to kind of do with securing your devices. And that is our hardware and firmware audit. And that actually shows you what BIOS version you have in your environment. So you can actually run this and check to see chassis type, manufacturer, and model by default. You can select any of these categories here. You can see that BIOS version here, or you can also select more charts over here on the right. So I could see all the different BIOS versions I have in my environment and make sure I get those secured. Maybe I need to get them added to a specific collection to get updated, export that information to CSV and be like, hey, we need to get those updated. It's a really old BIOS version. There's vulnerability in certain BIOS versions, but a lot of times it's kind of hard to get that information, especially on all your devices or on certain ones that you need. So you can do that through this dashboard as well. You can also use this nested filtering here. So if you need to kind of like narrow down what you're looking for, you can select nested filtering and then go through the categories. So all the laptops are HPs. I can pick a specific version of HP if I need to. See the BIOS version for it. You can select either the legend or the pie chart here to see what's in that category and see all this specific version or model of HP and to see all the different BIOS versions you have. So you can kind of keep them all together, keep them all updated, and things like that from here. And that is all I have for the demo today. If you guys have any questions, feel free to add them to the chat, or we have a Q&A option in the webinar platform. You can also reach out to us if you have any questions as well, and we can get back to you. Haley?
Yeah. Thanks, Courtney. I don't see any questions so far. So if you all think of anything that you're struggling with, if you want to share any challenges that other people on this webinar might relate to, drop those in the chat because we do have a few minutes left that we can use if you want to get anything answered. While we do that, if anyone has questions, you can be submitting those. And we have another poll. If you want to receive like a detailed pricing quote for Right-Click Tools Enterprise, which the Enterprise features are many of the features you just saw today, as well as some other ones that we've covered in previous Coffee Break series. If you were on our automation series with Builder Runner, that's also something within Right-Click Tools Enterprise.
It looks like we do have one question. Is Recast just for SCCM or does it integrate with Intune as well? Currently, Right-Click Tools just integrates with SCCM. We do have on our roadmap to add more functionality into Intune, but that will be coming out later.
And we will have a webinar about our upcoming Intune capabilities very soon. It is something that we're set to release within 2024. So if Intune is something that is of interest to you, please be on the lookout for that webinar currently planned for around October, where we'll be showing like our support for Intune across multiple of our different tools. So it's been highly requested. And we hear you, and we're working on it. know there's going to be a lot of excitement about that.
I can't wait.
I'm curious, as we think about, that webinar coming up, if you have any specific challenges you're facing currently within your transition to Intune, feel free to drop those in the chat as well or follow up with us. The more we know about the things you're experiencing, the better it is for us to help support you. There is one question in here, Courtney. I'm going to go ahead to the next slide. Maybe we'll be able to address Theodore's question if you know anything about that.
Yeah. So Theodore wrote, I'm loving Recast so far, RMS and right-click tools. I do wish there was hardware driver updates available. Any ideas if there's something that will be added? Currently there is not, as far as I know. We have a feature request page. So if you're at any point are like, hey, I really would like this feature, or I hate doing X, Y, and Z, please fix that for us. It's hard to do things like that. You can put in our feature request page. But the closest we have to drivers is to see what drivers are missing or what version things are on, but not to actually get those added. You can use the add devices to collections, and so that you can push out those drivers to devices, but that's about the closest we have. And then someone asked, how does Recast software enhance security and compliance within IT environments? So some of the dashboards that I showed today help get those devices that you might not know about secured. So things that maybe he didn't realize didn't have BitLocker, or assume they did, and at some point maybe it got unencrypted. Things like that. Software updates, we can grab those. We have some other tools that I didn't show today for Defender. You can see what firmware things are on, different tools like that. If you need to see what apps are installed, we have a right-click tool for that allows you to see everything that's installed. So if there's something that's maybe end of life or depreciated, or maybe has a vulnerability in it, you can see what is installed on those devices, and you can actually go ahead and use our right-click tools to just uninstall it without actually having to build the uninstaller yourself. So things like that. We have quite a few tools. And if you would like more information on that, we can give you an in-depth demo of all the tools we have. We also have some privilege access management solution called Privilege Manager that I believe we talked in the last webinar about. So if you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend checking that out, or let us know. We can give you a demo of Privilege Manager as well.
Yeah, so in the first part of this webinar series, this coffee break series, in the last one we did managing applications, third-party applications and privilege. So you could watch the on-demand and see both of those, but those definitely tie into security and compliance. All right, we're gonna move on. Our next webinar set for next week. So this is going to be about surfacing actionable data and reporting. So endpoint insights would be, the product focus for that demo and webinar. You can sign up for that now. We'll follow up with you by email after this webinar for your gift card and the ability to sign up for the next webinar if you haven't already. Thank you all. Appreciate your time. We're exactly on the dot. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next week.
Have a great day, everyone.